Geek Love is a whirlwind of a story whose title might at first be a little misleading to the reader. It is a novel that keeps you flipping through its pages, desperately wanting to find out more about its interesting characters and twisted storylines. Geek Love is written in first person from the story's protagonist, Olympia's point of view. Ollie is an albino, hunchback dwarf with pale pink eyes and a head as bald as a baby's bottom. She has a heart of gold with a huge desire for love and acceptance from her unusual family. Geek Love is told both during the present and past that chronicles Ollie's childhood and her daughter Miranda's young adult life. The book starts off during Olympia's early days with her and her siblings sitting around their traveling trailer listening to their father retell the story of how him and his wife, Crystal Lil, met. It also goes to describe her strange family of traveling circus freaks. Al Beninsky is the head of the family and the Fabulon's ringmaster. Crystal Lil is a white-haired woman who had aspired to be a trapeze but ended up working as a geek for the freak show instead. Together, they have 4 children. Effie and Ellie, conjoined twins, Artie the aqua boy with fins for appendages, Ollie the hunchback dwarf, and Fortunato, also known as Chick, a telekinetic who is born later on in the book. What sets the Fabulon apart from other shows are these children who were created by drugging Crystal Lil during her pregnancies, using pesticides and amphetamines. Some of the children born don't make it, and they are kept in jars of formaldehyde for the norms to see. Fabulon travels all over the country, with the twins playing their piano and Artie as their star attraction. Ollie and Artie have a special bond. She is not only his sister, but also his assistant and advisor. Secretly, Olympia is in love with her Finn brother, despite the fact that he is an arrogant, self-centered egomaniac. His shows used to draw in a mediocre crowd, so Artie decided to do something that will set him apart from the rest of the freaks. He begins preaching to the crowds about living a liberating lifestyle. In turn, the masses take his message and assume that if they too shed their limbs, they would become like the Aqua Boy. This sprouts a cult following, in which the Arturans, as they were called, would get various parts of their extremities chopped off, starting from the toes and fingers on up, with each amputation raising one's status in the Arturan cult. All of the surgeries were performed by a certified surgeon named Doc P, and Chick, the child I mentioned before. His telekinetic abilities allowed for an anesthetic, pain-free procedure. Those who shed both arms and legs were retired to lives where they would be catered to by lower cult members. Chick is a good-hearted boy who doesn't eat meat. He hates to hurt others. So when he feels as if he has let down his entire family, he loses it and burns down the entire Fabulon to the ground. The only people spared are Ollie and Crystal Lil. The second part of the story takes place in Portland, Oregon during present time. Ollie is in her 30s, living in a worn-out building with Crystal Lil and Miranda, the daughter she fathered with Artie without his knowledge or consent. Miranda is a norm, except for a small tail that sprouts from the base of her spine. This is the only thing that links her to the Beninsky freak show life. Ollie was forced to abandon Miranda at a nun's house per Artie's orders when she was just a toddler. Ollie watches over her and makes sure that her life is paid for. Miranda is an art student who draws medical sketches. This is what brings mother and daughter together, as Miranda is fascinated by this hunchback dwarf. During their posing sessions, Ollie discovers that her daughter plans to have her tail removed. A burly woman by the name of Miss Lick offers beautiful young women surgeries that will liberate them from a life of male exploitation. In return, the girls get cash and a new lease on life. Thought of having Miranda's defining tail removed made Ollie angry, and she made it her goal to befriend Lick and put an end to her plans. Using her charm and harmless persona, she manages to infiltrate Lick's life, even becoming her swimming partner. It is Miss Lick's love of the pool and soft spot for freaks that is ultimately her demise. This concludes the book, but I didn't want to give away too much of the story, so I hope you get to read it. The 2 main climaxes in Geek Love happen between Chick, the Fabulon, and the Arturan cult when he burns down the entire freak show, sparing only a few souls. The other climax happens in the end of the book when Ollie's attempt at killing Miss Licks goes awry, and they both end up losing their lives. I believe Geek Love is a perfect representation of today's society. People flock by the millions to plastic surgeons' offices in hopes of attaining that perfect look. Then there are those who seek comfort and acceptance in cults, no matter how bizarre they may be. The fact that Ollie wants us all to embrace our differences only goes to show how skewed our definition of beauty and normality truly is. Catherine Dunn uses a lot of symbolism in Geek Love. One example that stood out to me that I didn't mention in my summary is Ollie's grandfather's urn that is bolted down to the front of their traveling van. After Ollie's death, she leaves behind a letter for Miranda in which she asks her daughter to mix all of their deceased family's ashes in the same urn and to travel the country with it bolted down. Choosing just one passage from Geek Love was extremely hard for me because I believe the whole entire book is just amazing. But one passage that truly stood out to me is, consider the whole thing as occupational therapy. Power as the cottage industry for the mad. The shepherd is slave to the sheep. A gardener is enthralled to his carrots. Only a lunatic would want to be president. These lunatics are created deliberately by those who wish to be presided over. You've seen it 1,000 times. We create a leader by locating one in the crowd who is standing up. This may be well because there are no chairs or because his knees are fused by arthritis. It doesn't matter. We designate this victim as a stand-up guy by the simple expedient